This is a spontaneous live, me popping on here since I haven't been active on my channel way too long. And I have been into the underworld. I've descended into the underworld. I have done probably the shadow work of my life, or at least this last one was very conscious one. So I wanted to start working with women, actually. Offer my service to other women with the awakening of the divine feminine, and I'll be talking a lot about that. I'm active on Patreon. I've been posting for free for now some of videos there. I have to start teaching dance as well soon. But anyhow, this place kind of inspired me to make this video. I'm in Sedona right now. I'm in the village of Oak Creek. This place has been looking all empty, like it's literally all empty spaces for the 6 years that I've been here. I think it died out since COVID. And for me, do you know how in the fairy tales, how in Sleeping Beauty, when she fell asleep, the divine feminine fell asleep, was it Sleeping Beauty? I think it was Sleeping Beauty. The whole kingdom just like froze and went numb and turned into stone, right? So this is what happens. Like, we still have the nature here that is beautiful, but this space, and here I am, like, not haven't been able to really start my classes going in Sedona, which is like, it's just a perfect representation of how divine feminine has been hijacked. Not that I want to fall into this victim mentality here, but you know, yoga has been around. It's not really creative. It's not really about you expressing your Shakti every day, you know, and being your wild true self and standing in your power. It's more been hijacked into this, you know, namaste, silenced, always calm, just accept whatever false structure you're still living under. But anyhow, isn't it this ironic? Like, there's all this empty space here, and here I am. I don't have where to teach. It's very difficult to build a community in Sedona. People just come and go. I mean, there's only like what, 10,000 locals here, and like a couple of million tourists yearly. But anyhow, this is exactly the perfect representation of how the divine feminine is still not awakened and not active, because the divine feminine is fully alive, and she knows how she knows the art of living well. She knows how to suck the pleasure out of life. She knows how to enjoy herself fully. She knows how to make the best out of every situation, right? She always finds the juice, because she resonates that frequency, because she's able to be in the oxytocin, in her oxytocin, what I do when I teach dance, right? Full on oxytocin, which right away heals the traumatic or the matrix enslavement, confinement, restriction from the society, from the programming and conditioning on your body, on your nervous system, to tense yourself up, to play this version of yourself that was false. That is actually the ego that needs to die. the ego that was playing along with what the society wants you to be, with the external narrative of who you are supposed to be. And the big game over here, and the whole patriarchal and Abrahamic religious programming, they switched that all around. They flipped the original, which all has to do with the divine feminine as well. And they rewritten the whole religion to shut the divine feminine force, the kundalini force, the active of the vital force within us, the strongest, most powerful force in the universe, the most creative one, life itself, to shut that down in order to set up their false artificial timelines and false deception-based architecture of existence, to trick us into creating that for them, to empower them, trick us into allowing ourselves to have these entity attachment, egregore, energetic attachment through the astral field into our energy field, body and energy centers, to allow ourselves these attachments, the access to our energy, in order to feed somebody else, some other god, some other structure. And that type of prostitution, siphoning, good girl programming, slave mentality, okay, was rewritten into the highest virtue. That was virtuous. If you were not doing that, that was all the other stuff, your impulse to liberate yourself, your impulse to speak the truth, your impulse towards sovereignty, towards your own creation, was rewritten into the demonic, okay, into the bad. And now the society is literally programmed that the minute you start to function and operate and radiate and resonate and emanate and embody that liberation, sovereign, creative, kundalini-based impulse, they are so conditioned to automatically attack you with the programming to try to shut you off and shut you down, to bury the truth, delete you, cancel you out, diminish you, scare you of your own power. So the witch wound over here, obviously the witches are back, because these were the women that were not afraid, and they were courageous enough to speak up and say, hey, this is a false system, this is a false god, and this is against the most sacred, the sacred sexuality, the sacred femininity, the sacred life force itself that we were to protect. And this system is designed to rape her, to rape that energy, okay, degrade her, steal her for something that is demonic, that is evil, vampiric. Those who spoke up, and those who would not allow themselves to go along with it, with this siphoning, offering themselves on the altar for the false gods to be siphoned from, depleted from this life force, from the most sacred power they possess, when they spoke the truth, just like the Gnostics did, and said, called it for what it is, spoke the truth, and refused to diminish their own power, they were burned for that. And the Gnostics were persecuted for that. And till this day, you have the shamans that know, they have the vision, they understand, because they see the spiritual world. They see the wetico virus and who operates on what. You can't lie to them. Therefore, the shamanic consciousness, when it wakes you up, and this is now global because we are ascending, so we all need to become shamans, and we're all going through a shamanic awakening and initiation. This is a collective process that we're going through, very archetypal, ancient soul level, world soul level, collective unconscious process that we're going through. When the shamanic consciousness is waking up and you're being shamanically initiated, because you're being taught spiritual discernment to understand the energy, to understand how to freaking survive through these with these astral entities and all of that. You're not naive. You're awakening yourself up from being naive and living in the surface level, you know, pretend that it's all good, the false paradise, right? And the false artificial metaverse, they're trying to siphon our conscious now, upload it and call it ascension, like a false promise, right? These shamans, these witches that are going through those initiations, because once you awaken that power within you and your consciousness, your kundalini is clearing all the channels for you to embody that, you have to be able to see through all the fucking bullshit and all the programming. Okay? So the life itself initiates you because you have to embody it all the freaking time. You have to stand in it, and you cannot let yourself be swayed and, you know, the distortions pull you away, temptations, you know, to get you out of your focus and lose your center. What they do is the entire system is obviously, of course, it's the education system as well. It teaches all these therapists and psychologists and psychiatry that you are actually, this is a mental illness, that you are actually going crazy. Mental illness, schizophrenia, can be fragmentation, okay, losing touch with reality because of the fragmentation and consciousness slips. But also, in the ancient times, what we now call schizophrenia was a typical shamanic initiations. When you were bleeding through, you could see the different dimension and the spiritual realm. Shamans and mystics exist in both. And the witches, they exist in both. They are always in this liminal space between both of the worlds. They are the bridge, right? And the spiritual reality is the real reality. This is all created as an illusion. And all the shamanistic and ancient cultures and wisdom traditions, they spoke about this, the Maya, the illusion. That which is based on deception, and it's a ego mind programmed into you, like a layer, like a veil over your vision, over your consciousness. So they medicate, they pathologize when we are awakening, right? And society does the same thing. When you want to fully individuate, which is the Jungian individuation process, was just that, descending, deprogramming yourself from all these matrix, social conditioning and matrix programming outside of you, in order for you to be in perfect alignment with the truth within you, with the source, your own direct connection to the source, your own inheritance, your own divinity. And that is your only authority that you carry. That's why you're sovereign. And you should live from that. And therefore, anything that is still, you have the susceptibility and tendency to get impressed or try to impress, right? The external, get the external validation, and you fall for these authorities over you. you have to clear that out, and that's part of that awakening. So we descend in order to purify our consciousness. Now, what they did, and become who we truly are, our true nature, and co-create the new earth from that. Then we stand in our own power, and we create our own reality without the need to suck the energy off of each other. But what they did is that they have rewritten the entire ancient mythology. They have literally rewritten mythology. You have the Apollo, for example, right? Killing, this is so patriarchal. Killing Kundalini, the serpent goddess, and the oracle, taking over the entire, all the temples and all of that. But anyhow, so this what I'm describing is the descent into the underworld this is a soul retrieval, to take back your energy, to reclaim your power, to get the medicine, because then you become the shaman, you come back and you become the medicine woman with your own creative, you find your own creative way to get out of that, right? To go through this purification process, to basically say fuck you to everybody and be yourself no matter what. Find your own authentic essence within you. Stand in your power and not giving a shit, right? That's the witch that they were after. Okay, so we have to kill the good girl. So who was getting crucified? The old mythology. Always the one that was going through the process of individuation, that was no matter what standing in his or hers authenticity. He or her was getting crucified, just like Inanna, 7 gates, right, was stripping all the layers of social programming and the matrix programming, right? When you want to please, this is people pleasing, right, everybody else, and you play a role given to you for survival. Comes a time when you can't take this anymore, and you don't give a shit whether whatever happens, whether you die, because you already know that like your essence cannot die, and you become fearless, right? And that's your awakening. And then you go back up, and you find your own creative way, you express yourself, you know, you stand in your power more and more and more, you live your truth more and more, and that becomes your medicine. This is your creative way. Really, the virus of the matrix is all about killing creativity and our potential and our genius, because Kundalini and our essence is divine creation of life. That's what they want to kill. They want us to become this dead, robotic, you know, over-rationalizing everything, heartless logic, right? Or completely disembodied into some type of illusion in the metaverse, you know, ascending out of the body, never really achieving anything over here, never embodying your true essence, which is the whole point now, and the merge of and coming back online of the true feminine spiritual path, which is what I'm describing, the descent and then ascend back up, fully embodied with your own medicine, and with the version of you that was still people pleasing and still playing that role in order to survive what you were taught, to diminish yourself, to silence yourself, to dim your own light, to become less than you are, to hide your own power, which won't, again, for your own protection and survival, and in order to belong to this sick virus society, that part of you has to die, because it was a false persona. And that is the real meaning of this ancient archetypal process, shamanic process of dying of the old self. But they rewritten that into the good girl, the one who sacrificed everything. The man who absolutely sacrificed his entire potency, his entire power, his entire love of the feminine, and his impulse to protect her, the sacredness of life. He gives up on that for some type of a promise in the cloud, right? The simulation in the cloud, what we are now witnessing and watching, you know, the transhumanism or whatever. Give up your body, give up your instincts, give up who you are, give up your soul, forget your humanity, you know, go for the illusion. Abandon the feminine, abandon the soul, abandon your creativity. Everything that makes you human, abandon it to be holy and sacred through abandoning it, right? That is a false rewrite. that is a whole another topic, how this is actually horrific and illegal what they did with the MK ultra style type of trauma programming with this religion, where you are deeply subconsciously, ritualistically programmed by this religion from childhood to glorify suffering, and to do that, to kill your own divine spark. That's the conditioning, in order to allow this false god to siphon and harvest your soul. Okay, so very, very important message, it turned out. Let me see, is there anybody in here that even is into this type of talk? Okay, I'm not seeing howdy, I'm not seeing anything particular over here, but anyhow, the live will stay on my channel, so let me know your thoughts and your feelings and where you are right now. And here it is. That's all it is from me to you today.